Hey gang, welcome back to the Ashland Fly Shop fishing report for the second week of August. Is that where we are, Chris? Third week of August 2020. We've got some info for you and we're gonna hop right to it. Here we go. All right, let's just jump right in with our home water, the Rogue River. Just an awesome place to be this time of year. And we want to talk about steelhead because that's what's going on. That's what's on our minds. That's what we're looking for. And you know, it's kind of the beginning, I would say just after the beginning as we're into like this sort of mid-August window. You know, if you've followed along with us for a while, you know that in August we get really kind of these kind of spurts of fish that come through, and there can be some really nice ones. So we can have some really outstanding days, and then we can have, you know, some dead time too. And this month is really unlike no others in the past, or unlike others in the past. It's pretty, it's following suit, let's say. So some decent fishing our guides have had, and then some pretty tough fishing. So one thing we can look at is the Huntley Park counts, which happen down in the lower Rogue. They do some seining down there to just kind of get an idea of the run and the size of the run. So the Huntley Parks are down on the average, but they've only taken a couple samples so far, so it's hard to say. And they only net at certain times, so it's hard to say what that means, but they are down slightly. Does that reflect what we're seeing up here? I would say it's pretty normal what we're seeing up here. So we always like to say this time of year, it's a great time to be out. We do see, you know, people fishing. As far as pressure, I would say it's a little bit increased, but it's not too bad. Conditions are great. I think we've got like 1,300 out of the dam, 1,700 at Dodge. So really good conditions. Good cool water conditions down to about the town of Rogue River, where it starts to kind of warm up a little bit. So that's where we're focusing our efforts, of course, in that, you know, Tuvell Park, Shady Cove area. We really enjoy that section right now. Fish seem to really come in and kind of hold there this time of year. So yeah, we've seen some absolutely beautiful fish caught. Really nice fish, swinging flies and nymphing. And I would say both techniques are good right now. Swinging always, you know, is maybe slightly behind nymphing, but we've seen some nice fish come to the swing. Just kind of every sort of method you can pursue with swinging. It's a very good time of year to go through a real juicy run first with something small and light, some kind of scandy traditional on the surface of the water, even a skated fly, and then maybe go back through, or your buddy go back through with something deeper. You know, these bright sunny days will really push the fish down, so you can get to them with sink tips and stuff, and they can respond to that. So that can be a really good approach this time of year anyway, to try and find a fish. But they're out there. There's some in there. It's definitely worth doing. Mornings and evenings for sure. We talked a little bit about flies. You know, you might try something flashy. We've been talking about that a little bit more at the shop lately. Something a little brighter during the day or late morning, early evening before going to something kind of drab, which we typically like. So skated flies, a Klamath skater, you know, even muddler minnows can work really well on floating lines. Something like the copper top would be a nice kind of flashy fly, or the unconditional, something a little brighter. And then for getting down a little bit more, just kind of your standard mini intruders, things like that, have a good amount of color and flash in them, you know, to attract a fish. So those are some good bets. But you know, we don't stray too far outside the lines for picking flies for summer steelhead. So they're pretty aggressive when they're around. So yeah, so that's what the Rogue's looking like. We're pumped about it. We're pumped about the season, and you know, I think it's going to be a good one. So hang in there. All right, let's talk about the Holy Water a little bit. Our little trout fishery up there on the upper Rogue above the hatchery between the dam and the spillway. Not a lot of news from that, but we'll just talk a little bit about what we've seen in years past. But I will say overall, the holy water, in years past, we've really seen, after the salmon fly hatch, the fishing up there just really kind of drops off. But I would say more and more people are kind of fishing through the summer up there and stuff, which is great because they're really good water conditions. And it's a good place to find fish. And so, we're seeing more people have success up there trying different techniques, everything from nymphing, to fishing trout spay, to just swinging flies in general, leeches, streamers. So it's a good place to be. What we typically see this time of year is not much dry fly activity. Unless you go kind of right in the evening, you might stumble into some interesting midge hatching midge fishing. If you really want to kind of test your dry fly prowess, you can head up there and give that a try. I have done that and I have been spanked pretty hard. But yeah, it'd be pretty interesting. I know some pretty big fish can get into those midges later in the evening. So that last hour, you might try that with some really small midge clusters, really small, parachute trico type flies and RS2s and things like that. Otherwise, if you're fishing in the afternoon, you want to get down a bit. So rubber leg stone flies, things like that, everything from San Juan worms to pheasant tails, typical tailwater fare. That's what I would be focusing on if you're nymphing. Looking at the most common, kind of seams and things like that. There's one good riffle up there, and just kind of working the seams there would probably be where I would start. And then trout spay is a really great way to fish up there. We really enjoy fishing trout spay or fishing streamers, and there's good water up there for that. So just your standard buggers, little olive, black, and white flies can work really well. So prospecting around the holy water with those types of streamers and flies is a good way to go. Good way to keep your spay game up, fishing trout spay up there. You can reach a lot of water, but some very, very nice fish up there that got to eat. So holy water is really worth a look at this time of year. Just going to do a brief check-in about Northern California. At this time we really start to look to our steelhead fishing and stuff, and that's kind of what we're doing. In general, if you're fishing the Upper Sacramento, the McCloud, you're really nymphing a lot at this time of year, fishing streamers, fishing really small stuff, little black shit as it's referred to a lot down there, but small little midge pupa, things like that can work pretty well. Fall River seems to be really hanging in there. It seems like it's having a really good couple seasons down there on that Spring Creek. So you might look at some of the great California guides that can get you out in a boat and fish down there on the Fall River. That seems to be hanging in there pretty well, which it can through the summer. But it's definitely still worth fishing down there. It just gets into this kind of midsummer doldrums, we like to say. But there's definitely still fish to be had. Try fishing a little closer to the dams and stuff, looking for that cooler water. That's a suggestion I have for you for that. We'll wrap things up with the North Umpqua. Boy, everybody loves the North Umpqua. It's people just can't wait to get up there and get in there and give it a try. So I feels like there's a bit of an increase in pressure this year. But it's hard to say what you're going to find. I just expect it to be fairly busy up there. No doubt. Expect to be looking around for a place to fish. Expect to look a little bit outside of the normal places and try to find some cool spots for yourself. Same stuff we're always talking about up there. Dry flies. A lot of people really enjoy skating, twitching, popping dry flies up there. You've always got a good chance of getting a fish, but just expect to be working around people a little bit up there this year. We're happy we haven't seen any hoot owl closures thus far, so that means water conditions are hanging in there, but be sensitive to water temperature. Beautiful place to go up and get absolutely wrecked. So we wish you the best, and please don't tell us how you do. Great. We'll see you up there. All right, that's a wrap. Thank you so much for following along. Rogue River Steelhead is what we're all about. That's what we're looking for. So if you want any more detail, please give us a call. We'll be happy to talk to you about our home river, which we love so much. And appreciate you tuning in, and peace out.